51, Moving Overseas, Study Abroad. Nowadays, many families move overseas for job opportunities. Some people think this is beneficial for the children of the families, while others think children will find it difficult. Discuss both views and give your opinion. In today's increasingly interconnected world, more families are relocating abroad in pursuit of enhanced career prospects. While some argue that such transitions can be disruptive to children's stability, others contend that the long-term developmental rewards are invaluable. This essay will examine both perspectives before concluding that, when guided with adequate support, the benefits decisively outweigh the drawbacks. On the positive side, international relocation immerses children in diverse cultural, linguistic, and educational environments that stimulate both intellectual and social growth. Exposure to multiple languages fosters bilingual or even multilingual competence, a skill closely associated with enhanced cognitive flexibility. For example, a UNESCO report highlights that students who master 2 or more languages often outperform their monolingual peers in problem-solving tasks. Moreover, access to innovative curricula and enriched extracurricular activities available in international schools cultivates creativity and leadership. Consider the case of children in Singapore's international school network, who regularly engage in multicultural projects that sharpen both teamwork and cross-cultural communication. Such experiences nurture open-mindedness, adaptability, and transcultural competence, attributes indispensable for success in an era defined by globalization. However, it would be naive to overlook the immediate challenges children may encounter. Abruptly leaving behind familiar surroundings, peers, and routines can trigger emotional distress and a sense of rootlessness. Younger children, in particular, may struggle with linguistic barriers that hinder academic performance and delay integration. For instance, children of expatriate engineers in Germany often require additional months of intensive language support before they can fully participate in mainstream classes. In certain cases, prolonged cultural dissonance may result in identity confusion, especially if children feel torn between competing cultural norms. Psychological studies have also shown that relocation during early adolescence can temporarily increase anxiety and feelings of social isolation, underlining the need for careful parental guidance. Nevertheless, such setbacks are typically transient and can be mitigated with deliberate parental guidance and institutional support. International schools, expatriate communities, and mental health services often provide structured environments that ease transition. For example, many international schools employ buddy systems, where newly arrived students are paired with peers to facilitate faster integration. When relocation is approached with empathy, continuity in routines, and encouragement of cultural openness, children tend to not only adapt, but also flourish. Indeed, longitudinal research on third culture kids, children raised in cultures other than their parents, indicates that they often develop stronger intercultural sensitivity and resilience compared to peers who grow up in a single cultural context. Far from being a handicap, these transitions frequently produce individuals who are globally minded and adept at navigating diversity, qualities that confer lifelong advantages. In conclusion, although international relocation may initially disrupt children's sense of security, its long-term cognitive, emotional, and intercultural benefits are profound. With appropriate scaffolding, such experiences serve as a catalyst for holistic development, equipping young people with the perspective and competencies necessary to thrive in an increasingly multicultural future. 2. Being taught by native English teachers only. Vietnamese students learn English but do not communicate well. Many people recommend English should be taught by native English teachers only. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Despite years of formal English instruction, many Vietnamese students struggle with effective verbal communication. This has prompted calls for English to be taught exclusively by native speakers. While native English teachers can provide certain advantages, I disagree with the notion that they should be the only ones responsible for teaching the language, as non-native teachers bring equally vital skills and contextual understanding. Admittedly, native English speakers often offer authentic pronunciation, idiomatic expressions, and cultural nuances that are difficult to replicate. Their natural fluency can serve as a powerful model for students seeking to develop accurate and confident spoken English. Furthermore, immersion in native speech patterns helps learners build better listening comprehension and develop a feel for the rhythm and flow of the language. In communicative classrooms, this exposure can significantly enhance students' real-world speaking abilities. However, exclusively relying on native speakers overlooks the unique contributions of qualified non-native teachers. Vietnamese English instructors often have first-hand experience with the specific linguistic challenges that local students face, such as grammar interference or pronunciation issues unique to Vietnamese. This empathy allows them to offer targeted explanations and strategies that native speakers who acquired the language intuitively might struggle to articulate. Moreover, non-native teachers serve as relatable role models, demonstrating that fluency is attainable through dedication rather than birthright. In addition, teaching effectiveness depends not solely on one's language background, but on pedagogy, classroom management, and the ability to inspire learners. Many native speakers lack formal training in language education, especially in developing contexts, and may be unfamiliar with local curriculum standards or cultural sensitivities. A teacher who speaks English as a second language but possesses strong instructional skills can often produce better learning outcomes than an untrained native speaker. In conclusion, while native English teachers undoubtedly enrich language instruction, excluding non-native educators is both impractical and counterproductive. A balanced approach that values pedagogical competence over accent or nationality is essential to helping Vietnamese students become confident English communicators. D3. Lifelong learning. Some people believe that learning is a lifelong process. However, others think that learning is a period of time. To what extent do you agree? It is often debated whether learning is confined to the early stages of life, particularly within formal education, or whether it extends throughout a person's lifetime. I strongly contend that learning is an ongoing, lifelong process, driven not only by professional demands, but also by the innate human desire for growth and understanding. One major reason why learning should be regarded as lifelong is the rapid pace of change in the modern world. Technological innovation, globalization, and evolving social dynamics mean that knowledge acquired during one's school years quickly becomes outdated. For example, professionals in fields such as medicine, engineering, and information technology must continually refresh their skills to remain effective in their roles. Without this ongoing adaptation, even the most highly qualified individuals risk becoming obsolete. In this sense, lifelong learning is not merely a choice, but a necessity for professional survival and advancement. Equally significant are the personal benefits of continuous learning. Beyond vocational requirements, individuals pursue knowledge to enrich their lives and maintain cognitive vitality. Adults frequently engage in activities such as learning foreign languages, studying history, or acquiring new artistic skills. These endeavors not only provide intellectual stimulation, but also enhance adaptability and resilience. Studies have consistently shown that older adults who engage in structured learning experience slower cognitive decline and greater emotional well-being. Thus, education in later life contributes as much to personal fulfillment as it does to societal productivity. Critics may argue that the most effective learning occurs during youth, when memory and concentration are at their peak. While it is true that younger learners often absorb information quickly, maturity brings with it deeper critical thinking, broader perspective, and emotional intelligence. These qualities can make later learning experiences more meaningful and applicable to real-world situations, thereby complementing rather than replacing the learning that occurs earlier in life. In conclusion, the notion that learning should be confined to a specific stage of life is increasingly outdated. Lifelong learning is essential both to meet the demands of an ever-changing world and to nurture individual well-being. Embracing education as a continuous journey ensures not only personal growth, but also collective progress in society. Day 4, Women in Workplace. The economic empowerment of women across the rich world is one of the most remarkable revolutions of the past 50 years. The trend towards more women working and increasing women's role in workplace is almost certain to continue. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Over the past half-century, the economic landscape of developed nations has undergone a profound transformation, driven in part by the rising participation of women in the workforce. I fully agree that this shift is not only one of the most remarkable social revolutions in recent history, but also a trend that is both irreversible and essential for sustained progress. A compelling reason for this ongoing movement is the clear and measurable contribution of women to economic growth and innovation. Numerous empirical studies have shown that organizations with gender-diverse leadership outperform those lacking such diversity, thanks to a broader range of perspectives and decision-making approaches. Moreover, as access to education for women has expanded globally, their representation in high-skilled sectors such as finance, healthcare, technology, and academia has grown dramatically. This evolution is not merely a demographic trend, but a strategic economic advantage, allowing nations to tap into the full potential of their talent pool. Equally important is the cultural and institutional shift in attitudes toward gender roles. In contemporary affluent societies, dual-income households have become not just commonplace, but often economically necessary. Governmental policies, including paid parental leave, anti-discrimination legislation, and flexible working arrangements, have played a pivotal role in enabling women to pursue long-term careers. These changes reflect a broader ideological shift that values inclusivity and equity, thereby reinforcing the normalization of women's leadership and participation across industries. In conclusion, the growing prominence of women in the workplace is not a fleeting trend, but a foundational pillar of modern economic and social development. By dismantling outdated norms and promoting inclusive growth, This transformation paves the way for a more equitable, innovative, and prosperous future for all. D5. Playing video games. Important research has already been done for decades on the negative effects of gaming, including addiction, depression, and aggression. However, many people believe that playing video games may boost children's learning, problem-solving skills, and social skills. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. While video games have long attracted criticism for fostering addiction, aggressive behavior, and mental health issues, a growing body of research highlights their potential cognitive and social benefits. This essay will examine both perspectives before presenting the view that, when approached mindfully and in moderation, video games can be a valuable tool for childhood development. On one hand, critics argue that excessive gaming can lead to a host of psychological and behavioral problems. Numerous studies have demonstrated a strong correlation between prolonged screen exposure and diminished attention spans, impaired academic performance, and emotional dysregulation. For instance, a widely cited study by the American Psychological Association in 2015 reported a notable link between violent video games and heightened aggression in young players. Moreover, extended gaming sessions often replace physical activity and real-world interactions, leading to social isolation and increased risk of depression. In extreme cases, gaming addiction may even interfere with basic responsibilities, disrupting sleep patterns and family relationships. Conversely, proponents of gaming emphasize the educational and developmental potential of interactive digital media. Many games, especially those based on strategy, simulation, or collaboration, require players to solve complex problems, adapt to evolving scenarios, and engage in strategic planning under pressure. These skills are highly transferable to real-life contexts. Puzzle-based games, for example, can sharpen spatial awareness and logical reasoning, while multiplayer platforms often necessitate effective communication, teamwork, and leadership. In recognition of these benefits, some educational institutions have begun incorporating gamified learning systems to foster engagement and motivation in students. Additionally, when used responsibly, gaming can serve as a healthy outlet for stress relief and creative exploration. In my opinion, the impact of video games hinges largely on the type of content and degree of regulation involved. Rather than demonizing the medium altogether, parents and educators should focus on promoting digital literacy, setting appropriate boundaries, and encouraging children to engage with age-appropriate, enriching games. By doing so, video games can be harnessed as a powerful supplement to traditional learning and social development rather than a hindrance. In conclusion, although there are legitimate concerns surrounding the misuse of video games, it would be short-sighted to overlook their potential benefits. When monitored and integrated thoughtfully, gaming can not only entertain, but also empower children to develop critical thinking, adaptability, and interpersonal skills essential for success in the modern world. Day 6. Knowing famous people. Many young people today know more about international pop or movie stars rather than about famous people in the history of their own country. Why is this? What can be done to increase young people's interest in famous people in the history of your own country? In an era dominated by globalized media and hyperconnectivity, young people today often exhibit a greater familiarity with international celebrities than with the historical figures who have shaped their own nations. This trend is primarily driven by the immersive allure of modern entertainment and the lackluster portrayal of national history. Nonetheless, by reimagining educational methods and leveraging digital platforms strategically, it is entirely feasible to cultivate a deeper interest in historical icons. The pervasiveness of celebrity culture can be largely attributed to the algorithmic mechanics of social media. Platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube prioritize content that is emotionally engaging, visually compelling, and rapidly consumable, qualities that global entertainers and influencers naturally embody. In contrast, historical figures are typically relegated to static textbook descriptions, stripped of their human complexity and emotional resonance. For example, while millions follow the day-to-day lives of K-pop idols or Hollywood actors, few adolescents can articulate the contributions of national luminaries such as Fanboy Cho or Nguyen Du. This discrepancy is not indicative of apathy, but rather a failure in presentation. History, as it is often taught, does not compete effectively for young people's attention. To reverse this disengagement, a multi-pronged approach is required, one that combines innovative pedagogy with digital integration. Rather than depicting historical figures as distant heroes, educators should humanize them, framing them as individuals who navigated personal dilemmas, societal opposition, and internal conflict. This narrative approach, akin to storytelling, enhances emotional engagement and fosters relatability. Additionally, embedding these narratives into the digital ecosystems that youth inhabit can significantly amplify impact. Short-form video series, interactive storytelling through gamified learning apps, and augmented reality museum experiences can transform historical education from passive absorption to active exploration. Noteworthy examples include the National History Museum of Vietnam's AR exhibitions, and emerging student-led TikTok accounts that dramatize historical events through reenactments, initiatives that blend entertainment with pedagogy seamlessly. In conclusion, the current fascination with global celebrities among youth stems not from indifference to their own cultural heritage, but from the unmatched efficacy of modern media in storytelling and engagement. By embracing these very tools, while adapting content to be emotionally resonant and narratively rich, we can rekindle national pride and inspire young people to connect meaningfully with their historical legacy. In doing so, we are not merely preserving history, we are revitalizing it for future generations. 7. Social networking. Many people believe that social networking sites, such as Facebook, have a huge negative impact on both individuals and society. Do you agree or disagree? Social networking platforms such as Facebook have become deeply ingrained in modern life, raising concerns about their potential harms to both individuals and society. While acknowledging certain drawbacks, I strongly disagree with the claim that these platforms exert a huge negative impact. When used responsibly, their advantages in fostering meaningful connections, democratizing information, and empowering social movements far outweigh the risks. On an individual level, social media enables people to sustain relationships across geographic boundaries, reconnect with distant acquaintances, and engage in communities of shared interest. In an era of globalization and migration, such connectivity is invaluable. Individuals facing rare health conditions or mental health challenges often find solace and solidarity in online support groups, spaces that might otherwise be inaccessible. These digital communities play a pivotal role in enhancing emotional well-being, fostering belonging, and reducing social isolation. At a societal level, the transformative power of social networking sites is undeniable. These platforms have redefined how information circulates and how civic activism unfolds. Movements like Me Too and Black Lives Matter, both of which gained global traction through social media, exemplify the ability of these tools to amplify marginalized voices and catalyze real-world change. Furthermore, the instantaneous dissemination of news encourages political accountability and cultivates a more informed citizenry. In contexts where traditional media is censored or state-controlled, social media often serves as the only viable outlet for truth. That said, it would be naive to overlook the challenges these platforms pose. Issues such as cyberbullying, digital addiction, and the spread of misinformation are real and concerning. However, these are not intrinsic flaws of the platforms themselves, but rather the result of unregulated or irresponsible usage. With robust digital literacy education, platform accountability, and appropriate government regulation, such risks can be effectively mitigated without discarding the immense societal and personal benefits these networks offer. In conclusion, while social networking sites are not without pitfalls, I contend that their potential to connect, inform, and empower far exceeds their downsides. With thoughtful oversight and responsible engagement, these platforms can remain indispensable tools for fostering both personal growth and social progress. Day 8, Global Warming. These days, global warming phenomenon has seriously affected people's lives. What are the main causes? Can you suggest some solutions to this issue? Global warming has emerged as one of the most pressing threats to human existence, disrupting ecosystems, intensifying natural disasters, and endangering livelihoods. This essay will explore the principal causes of this phenomenon and propose viable solutions to address it. One of the leading causes of global warming is the excessive burning of fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas for electricity generation, transportation, and industrial activities. These processes release vast quantities of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, trapping heat and raising global temperatures. Another significant contributor is deforestation. Trees play a vital role in absorbing CO2, and their removal not only releases stored carbon, but also diminishes the planet's capacity to regulate climate. Additionally, agricultural practices, especially livestock farming, emit methane, a greenhouse gas far more potent than carbon dioxide. The overuse of chemical fertilizers also contributes to nitrous oxide emissions, further exacerbating the problem. To mitigate these causes, several strategic interventions are required. Firstly, governments and industries must transition to renewable energy sources, such as solar, wind, and hydropower. This shift not only reduces emissions, but also fosters sustainable development. Secondly, reforestation and afforestation projects should be prioritized to restore natural carbon sinks. Strict regulations and incentives can encourage individuals and companies to adopt eco-friendly practices. Moreover, introducing carbon taxes on heavy polluters would hold them accountable while generating revenue for environmental programs. Public education also plays a crucial role. Promoting energy conservation, recycling, and sustainable diets can empower citizens to contribute meaningfully to climate action. In conclusion, global warming stems primarily from human activities like fossil fuel combustion, deforestation, and unsustainable agriculture. Nonetheless, with concerted efforts, ranging from clean energy adoption to reforestation and behavioral change, it is possible to combat this crisis and safeguard the planet for future generations. Day 9. Cybercrime. These days, cybercrime has become a growing problem in the world. The government should control the internet to reduce cybercrime and ensure safety of users. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? In today's increasingly digital age, the alarming surge in cybercrime has sparked global concerns regarding online security and the appropriate scope of internet regulation. While I firmly believe that governments have a pivotal role to play in securing cyberspace, I contend that excessive state control can infringe upon civil liberties and suppress innovation. A balanced, rights-respecting, and collaborative approach is therefore imperative. There is no doubt that robust governmental intervention is necessary to combat the escalating sophistication and frequency of cyber threats. Cybercrimes such as identity theft, ransomware attacks, and large-scale data breaches pose severe risks not only to individuals and corporations, but also to national security. Well-designed regulations, ranging from mandatory cybersecurity protocols to coordinated public-private threat intelligence sharing, can significantly strengthen digital resilience. For instance, enforcing industry-wide encryption standards and enabling real-time detection of anomalous network behavior can help mitigate risks and foster accountability. However, granting governments unchecked authority over the internet introduces serious ethical and practical concerns. Sweeping surveillance measures may encroach upon fundamental rights to privacy and freedom of expression, particularly in authoritarian contexts where online dissent is often criminalized. Furthermore, overregulation can create an environment of fear and rigidity that stifles innovation, deters startup culture, and limits the free flow of information, elements that have historically driven the internet's exponential growth. The digital ecosystem thrives on openness and decentralization. Undermining these principles could have unintended and far-reaching consequences. A more effective strategy lies in adopting a multi-stakeholder framework that balances security with liberty. Governments should prioritize investing in cybersecurity infrastructure, funding public education campaigns on digital hygiene, and fostering ethical hacking initiatives. Moreover, as cyber threats transcend national borders, international cooperation through treaties and transnational task forces is essential for a unified and agile response. By anchoring cybersecurity efforts in transparency, accountability, and respect for human rights, we can cultivate a safer digital environment without compromising democratic values. In conclusion, while government regulation is vital in addressing the growing menace of cybercrime, an over-reliance on state control risks eroding core freedoms and stifling digital progress. A measured, inclusive, and principled approach, one that engages diverse actors and safeguards civil liberties, offers the most sustainable pathway to securing our digital future. D10. Social skills. Employers nowadays put more emphasis on social skills. Some people believe that social skills are important in addition to good qualifications for job success. To what extent do you agree or disagree? In today's increasingly collaborative and fast-paced work environments, social skills have emerged as a critical determinant of professional success, often rivaling academic qualifications in importance. I strongly agree that interpersonal abilities such as communication, teamwork, and emotional intelligence are just as vital as formal credentials for achieving success in most modern careers. To begin with, While academic qualifications reflect an individual's technical competence and subject knowledge, they seldom capture a candidate's ability to operate effectively within a team or interact with clients. In reality, the majority of roles across industries, from healthcare and education to business and engineering, require extensive interpersonal collaboration. For instance, a data analyst might excel in statistical modeling, but if they cannot communicate their findings clearly to stakeholders, their technical expertise may go underutilized. In this regard, social skills often serve as the bridge between technical know-how and real-world impact. Furthermore, the modern workplace is dynamic and often unpredictable, demanding not just intelligence, but adaptability, leadership, and emotional regulation. Employees who can resolve conflicts, motivate peers, and manage stress contribute significantly to a positive and productive organizational culture. Recognizing this, many companies now incorporate behavioral interviews, role-play exercises, and group assessments into their hiring processes to evaluate these less tangible but equally crucial attributes. The growing field of organizational psychology continues to affirm that emotional intelligence is a key predictor of long-term job performance and leadership potential. That said, academic qualifications still hold considerable weight, especially in professions where specialized knowledge is essential, such as medicine, law, or engineering. A surgeon cannot operate based solely on charm, nor can a civil engineer build a bridge with charisma alone. However, even in such fields, professionals are expected to engage with patients, clients, or teams, and those who do so with empathy and clarity often excel beyond their technically proficient peers. In conclusion, while formal qualifications provide the foundational knowledge required for many careers, social skills amplify an individual's ability to apply that knowledge effectively within complex human systems. Therefore, I firmly believe that social competence is not merely complementary to academic success, but integral to it. In the modern job landscape, the most successful professionals are those who combine intellectual acumen with emotional intelligence.